Nigerian Navy Forward Operating Base (FOB) in Badagry, Lagos, rescued and handed over 9 suspected victims of human trafficking to the National Agency of Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, which is NAPTIP. The rescues occurred on October 11th and 13th following incidents where young women were intercepted during routine stop-and-search operations at T-Junction and Tugedi Island in Badagry. On October 11, 5 young women aged 19 to 32 were found traveling from Mile 2 Lagos with plans to be transported to the Republic of Benin and Ghana. On October 13th, 4 others aged 19 to 24 were intercepted while en route to Guinea and Togo. The Navy handed over all 9 individuals to NAPTIP on October 15th for further investigation in line with established procedures. This highlights ongoing efforts to combat human trafficking and ensure regional maritime security. We'll first get the 10 cents. I will not say 2 cents because Ambassador Kie is here to give us his in-depth analysis of what he feels, what he thinks about this story. People trying to, I don't know if it's on their own, but they're moving to different countries, some parts of Africa. What do you think about this?
It's a sad experience that they did not succeed because very many Nigerians face Nigeria is very hard and very difficult, and if there's any opening for them to leave the country for survival, which I think is the reason for trying to leave the country, because if the country is very well, I don't think anybody in his sound mind will want to live in a very harsh condition, because the process of exiting the country through the process of trafficking is very, very harsh, going through rough and dangerous path. But in any way, I'm not saying that it's a good thing to try to get involved in trafficking, but I'd like to also ask, where are the traffickers if the bone of contention is trafficking? Because there must be a trafficker, there must be someone, people who are responsible in this illicit act. Is it that something has went wrong behind the back, maybe money have exchanged hands from the dealers and then the victims are the ones that have been paraded? I think we'll be interested to know what has happened, if those who are involved in this crime have actually absconded or they couldn't lay hold of them. So the system should see what could be done. But again, I would also want to state that the people who wanted to leave the country by this means of illegal routing, there should be a kind of, interrogation. The interrogation should not just be in a harsh way, because a normal and responsible person will not want to go through that process of leaving the country. There should be a kind of psychiatric counseling, a kind of discussion, not just interrogation in a hard way. But if it's interrogation in terms of knowing why, what happened and all that, and they discover genuinely that these ones would have loved to remain in this country, but not for no means of survival, I think the agency, all these citizens of this country, they are not thieves. If they interrogate them and discover that sincerely they were not carrying illicit drugs, they were not trying to traffic arms, trying to commit crime, criminal activity, but just wanting to live to survive, I think it should be a big responsibility on these agencies to ensure that these Nigerians, these our beloved brothers and sisters, are well taken care of, so that they will for once have a reason to remain in this country and only travel for the purposes of tourism and in the right way. So I don't want to believe that they should be condemned, they should be killed, they should be in prison. A hungry man may not know the law because he's angry and he seems helpless. I'm not saying hunger is a reason for lawlessness, but I'm only speaking that the way the country is and the way some people are finding it difficult to survive, they are only looking for any suggestions and recommendations. But I would also like to advise that no matter how the country is tough, do not expose yourself to unnecessary danger, because you may not know the lion that is waiting for you. There are some whose organ have been, removed. Some have been killed in trying to leave the shore of this country. There are so many organ harvesters. There are so many criminal-minded people who lure people into this kind of activities. So I think it's condemnable, and I think government too should not just see it as a reason to penalize these ones, but they should cancel them. If they are really, really into criminal activities, then I can feel that justice should be hard on them. But there are justice that should be fair on them to have a better life.
Okay, we've heard from Ambassador Ikie. We'll now move on to Mufasa to get what he thinks. Is this commendable or condemnable?
You see, there's a saying that if you have nothing to live for, you will be willing to die for anything. And on this note, I would want to say that I wouldn't know if I would say it's commendable on the part of the Nigerian authority, being the Navy, or I would say it's unfortunate for those people who were living on their own volition. I equally want to believe that I'm not sure any of the people who were discovered were taken, against their will. It wasn't as if they were kidnapped or captured and they were taken. These are people, by one way or the other, may have been completely fed up with, the prevailing circumstances in the country. People used to feel that the grass is greener on the other side, but you can't be too sure. As I said, the desperation has made a lot of people to take decisions regardless of what could be the outcome. The Benin Republic and Ghana and the rest they are going to, is it far better off? But when you don't even have hope in the position that you are right now, you just want to take the risk. That is why I equally want to align with the position of Ambassador Ikie when he said, let us look at it from both angles. Let's look at the intent. What could be the intention? What could have given rise to such, a reckless way of trying to, eke out something for yourself?
Well, the story said that the Navy rescued victims, suspected victims of human trafficking.
That's rescued. I saw it. Now, when it's rescued, that could be a cashing, headline. Now, if it's a case of which means these guys or these victims or whatever the case may be, they were captured or something. Now, who are the kidnappers? Who are the kidnappers or the people in charge of the trafficking business? We have similar cases in some of these coastal North African countries like Libya and Algeria, where people are loaded in wooden boats and all of that, across the Atlantic Ocean, and So for me, I equally want to appeal to the government. They should have this deep introspection. It's just something that we are not doing right as a country that will make your citizens would want to, whether it's rescue or whatever they want to call it. But I'm aware that there are people who are willing, to submit themselves into slavery just to leave this country. When we were still in primary school, when we taught about the history of slave trade and all of that, you have a situation where people come and they cajole our forefathers, and those people give out their children and relatives, to the Western invaders as slaves. And at times you see them struggling not to go. But there was somebody that said jokingly that if today, they bring a ship down to our shores and say people should come out and they want to be used as slaves in Europe and America, it will take up to, a whole day 24 hours, the entire ship will be flooded with people. That is the extent that the condition of, the standard of living in this country has driven people to get to imagine such a scenario. So, by and large, I'm sure that there are more, that, will be unfolded going forward, because I know there are a lot of other things that we still need to know. This is just one out of several of such events. The Nigerian security apparatus still need to up their game. If it's a case of, people being forced, or these are people who willingly want to, move just to see how the grass is on the other side, these are issues that we need to discuss. The governments need to see how to, reduce the level of pains and sufferings that people are going through that would, make people want to do a thing like that. So I think government has so much to do: enlightenment, providing of jobs, making policies that will, instead of people, taking people away from this country in such a manner, we want to see people coming into this country, because of the potential, because of the economic viability in the country, not, what we're experiencing today.
Now, with the fact that the Navy rescued these suspected victims of human trafficking, if logically, if somebody is being trafficked to a different country, there will be the traffickers, possibly on the same boat with them, because the victims barely know where they are going to, and they might not even know the route. The fact that we do not see the arrest of these persons, what do you think about that?
That's what I said.
Because the headline says they were rescued, and we do not hear
anything
that
about
traffickers
those.
were arrested.
Yeah. You see, that's what I said. There are more to this matter than meets the eyes. This is a syndicate arrangement. It's not something that somebody just wake up one morning and decided to go into a business that you don't have certain backings and connections. So we expect that, some of these things, needs to be demystified, to the extent that let us know if we still have other groups connected, like a networking kind of arrangement, where people are forced, in quote, forced, that is, if they are actually forced into this kind of venture. But then again, on the flip side, like I've said before, I think in most cases, these are people who willingly, perhaps the pattern, the modus operandi is illegal, because you don't just, pack human beings, people into a canoe or a boat, as the case may be, and ferry them across, the borders, the boundaries of this country. There has to be the usual paperwork and all of that. It is illegal, but there are a lot of things that we need to look into to find out what gave rise. Are there other, groups that are also into this kind of business? Then, how come the people involved have not been mentioned? I'm not surprised anyway, because we've had issues in this country where things happen and we don't get to see the orchestrator of such event. We have a situation in this country where people brought in adulterated petroleum products. My boss, I'm sure you are aware of that scenario, where people, they call it fire. People brought in adulterated petrol into this country that damaged a lot of engines, and up to this moment, we are yet to know those responsible for it. But I think it's not too late to begin to do the right thing. Let us also know who are the people responsible for this arrangement. If it's a cartel, let us know. If it's even a registered travel agents, because some of these people, they have a way of, bypassing the system and getting approval. It's possible. People getting approval for illegal businesses. So we need to know, like rightly said, they've not mentioned anybody, but in the time to come, in the days to come, we hope to see more, of these things unfold, so that members of the public can be availed with some of this information.
Ambassador Kie, what do you think about the fact that these persons have not been caught yet?
Well, let me commend the Nigerian Navy now for rescuing these suspected victims. What we do not know is at what stage or condition they were rescued. Were they abandoned at the shore of the coastal area, or were they having a boat mishap, and that the Nigerian Navy had to go and rescue them? Because what we have seen, they say they are suspected victims of human trafficking, which means the Navy is not very sure of their identity even. So that's why they have handed them over to the agencies responsible for such kind of suspicious acts. So the Navy has done their own, so we commend them, and we want to ask the Nigerian Navy to do more in protecting our coastal areas. We want to salute you. Again, we also want to encourage the agencies responsible for human rights trafficking and all of that to now do the needful in terms of investigation. I'm sure when they interact or interrogate the suspected victims, they'll be able to know what and how they got to the point where the Nigerian Navy rescued them. So I believe that the Navy has done their own role, and then they have also done what is lawful and needful by handing them over to the right agency. So it behoves on the agency to now interact with them. I'm sure after interfacing with them, they'll be able to get the information that will lead to the knowledge of how they got to that place and whoever that is responsible.
Okay, finally on this story, how do you think this can be stopped going forward?
Well, this is a story that is like Genesis in the Bible, that it is progressive. Maybe it has, I don't think it has gotten up to the point of Malachi or Mike,
Revelation.
No, it has not. So stopping it, I don't think, if it's something that would have been an old story now, will not be recorded, because it's like a daily occurrences. So I think it's a big business for those who are into that area. I only want to give advice, because when a man is determined and see source of livelihood in what he's doing, telling him or her to stop it is only what the army. If the Nigerian Navy are not able to stop it, the Nigerian police, the DSS, the Nigerian Army, Civil Defense, I do not think Eki has the power to stop it. So I think it's only an appeal to those who are into those nefarious businesses that you can look out for another kind of business. Hence, you have international knowledge of transacting. I think you can leverage on that contact you have to do other legitimate businesses. So I think have pity and have mercy. Sometimes they see it as doing favor to those who they are trafficking. You see the challenge about it. Some people willingly go and beg. I won't travel, I beg, help me. So they are not even seeing it as something wrong. They see it as something they are doing to aid people to survive. So I want to also call on Nigerians that it's a good thing that you want to live for a better, a greener pasture. But I also want to encourage you that God's time is the best, and anything you want to do, try to follow the right ways. There are right ways, though it's expensive, but you can still get it if the good Lord says there is a greener pasture for you in a foreign land. So let us not take laws into our hands. Let us not risk our lives because we want to survive. You can risk your life within your fatherland lawfully, not unlawfully. Because if, for instance, the naval people were not professional, they can waste them and then call them sea pirates. They can waste them and tag them one thing or the other. So you discover that the danger around this business is not too okay. So I want to say that I believe for now that they are not into drug trafficking. They are not into organ harvesting, but when the agency gives us back the report, I'm sure, like my brother Mufasa tries to encourage, that it's also good for us to know how come this scenario took place. It will put the